The African National Congress staff members are expected to embark on nationwide pickets today after the organisation delayed paying their salaries and provident funds. Now, the party is also considering retrenching 50% of its staffers at Luthuli House due to its financial woes. So, to give us more information about the ANC's financial state at the moment, we're joined by Paul Mashatile, the ANC's Treasurer General. Mr. Mashatile, welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning and good morning to the viewers.
Mr. Mashatile, is the ANC bankrupt?
Well, we're struggling with cash flow. The ANC has never really had an abundance of cash. We always get money from donors. And the problem is that since the pandemic, funding has been coming very slowly because companies are not doing so well. Some of them have gone out of business. So it is a difficult environment, but we do try our best to raise funds, but sometimes we get funding a bit late, so we end up paying salaries a bit late.
So does this mean that the ANC doesn't have any investments at the moment, Mr. Mashatile?
We do have investments, but in the current economic environment, it has not been easy to get any dividends. Most of our investments are also affected, same as many companies are affected. So it's also slow in that regard. But there's another problem now. We have a new act that requires disclosure. Beyond 100,000, if you donate to a political party, you must be disclosed. So some people are uncomfortable with that. So they are slowly pulling back, so we do struggle in that regard.
We've heard, for example, at the Zondo Commission about people who were funding, giving donations to the African National Congress from various companies, deals which are now under the spotlight and being investigated not only by the SIU in certain instances, but at other levels as well. So is this part of the ANC's problem, Mr. Mashatile?
It is part of our problem because some of these companies do get businesses or tenders legitimately. Some have been doing so over years. And when we raise funds, we go to all businesses, whether they are doing business with the state or the private sector. But mainly those who are doing business with the state tend to be suspected to be getting these tenders because they support the ANC. And in most cases, it's not really the case. We don't link getting tenders to supporting the ANC, but there is a perception sometimes that those who support the ANC are favored. And as a result, because of this perception, these businesses tend to be reluctant under the circumstances to support because they will be labeled in that context.
Chancellor House, infamously reported about that stake in Hitachi, and they, of course, made quite a lot of money through work at some of the Eskom projects, Kusile, for example. So what's the ANC's situation there right now?
Well, you'll recall that the Hitachi deal created a lot of noise at the time. So the position we took was that we should get our investment companies away from state tenders. So as a result, Chancellor House did pull out of that deal. And since then, they are not doing any business with state entities, and they are focusing purely in the private sector. And that's the position we've taken, that let's stay away from government businesses.
So, Mr. Mashatile, what's the latest in terms of the delayed salary payments to ANC staffers?
Well, I think the most delayed month was the month of May. Normally would delay from the 25th, pay people by the 30th, but there was quite a delay in May, but we planning to pay most of our staff by this week.
Some would say this is absolutely shameful, Mr. Mashatile, as the party that is the ruling party in government in this country. If you are setting this sort of example, where does it leave everybody else in terms of companies not paying their employees on time?
Well, the ANC is not a company, it's an NGO. An NGO gets money from donors. So if donors don't give you money, you don't have it. Doesn't matter what you do. So we keep pleading every day. And we're saying to our members, please understand, we pay you from monies of other people. And if they don't give us the money, we don't have it. So what we are doing at the moment, we're looking at other options. We're going to increase membership fees, levies. We're trying to get our members to understand that they must fund their own party. Because at the moment, we're actually begging other people to fund us. And then when they do not, we complain. But we need to be able to say, we as members of the ANC, can we set up a fund where we can put in money? It doesn't matter how much. We do crowdfunding and make sure that we are at the forefront of funding our own party. Because at the moment, 70% of our income comes from the private sector, which is a big problem because you're now depending on other people to help you. And if they don't, you're stuck.
Let me ask the question slightly differently, Mr. Mashatile. Are you setting a good example as the ANC? Because you say you're not a company. Be that as it may, your workers expect payment. They are not volunteering, or are they? Because they are now picketing, they're going to picket because they are expecting a salary. So do you think that this is a good example that you are setting?
It's not about setting an example. There is no money because you get money from donors. So if you don't have it, there's nothing you can do.
So if companies say that in the South African context to their workers, and they say, well, the ANC also says it doesn't have money and therefore it cannot pay its workers, we also don't have money. And this is the moral point that I'm trying to bring across.
No, we're not a company. We are an NGO. We get money from our donors. It's a different story. Private companies make money, they are in business. We are not. We go out, we ask for donations. If we don't get them, we're not able to pay our members, and it's as simple as all that. So we are saying to our members, try yourselves to raise money from the membership, and let's see if we can take care of ourselves, because if we continue to rely on other people, we're going to end up in this situation. So we're trying our best. All these years, private companies have carried us. They continue to do so. But some of them are not doing well. They are retrenching themselves. And we're going to them and asking them for money. They don't have it. There's nothing you can do. But we are trying our best. And as I said, this week we will pay most of our members. And we have to start raising money for the next month and many other months. So we have already told our members the next few months are going to be difficult. But yesterday, the top 6 met, and we're putting up some plan where we will be bringing some resources, probably from some of our long-term investments. And we think we should be able to turn the situation around.
Mr. Mashatile, reports also saying that you haven't paid Provident Fund. It's been in arrears for the past 28 months. Is this true? And if so, why didn't you act earlier as the ANC to avert this?
Well, our Provident Fund was in arrears as early as 2018. And what we did, we then started to pay gradually. And we've made arrangements to do so. So we are making sure that everybody who will be getting out of the system as they reach a pensionable age are able to get their benefits. So there is nobody who will be disadvantaged. We are sorting out that. We definitely are going to pay that backlog and many other debtors that we have.
I go back to setting a poor example, Mr. Mashatile, because these are not discretionary payments. When you deduct these monies from workers' salaries, they should be paid to whichever account, whichever fund that money is meant to go to. You should not be in a situation whereby it's in 28 months arrears.
Yes, we were in arrears and we've made arrangements to pay. You are quite correct that we shouldn't be in arrears, but we were in arrears and we've made arrangements to correct this situation, and we're going to do that.
Is there anything else that you're in arrears with in terms of deductions from worker salaries that have not been paid over to the relevant entities? Any taxation issues for the ANC?
Well, we continue to negotiate with those that we owe. During the elections, there are a lot of people who did work for us. Some of them we still owe them. When we came into government, we were involved in many election campaigns, and I think a lot of those, set us back in terms of the income that we had. So we incurred huge costs. But over the years, since I came in as treasurer, I've been dealing with these issues. I did say yesterday that we were sitting with debts of more than 350 million. We're busy sorting out those. We meet with those we owe, we arrange, we pay. And we have now given ourselves a deadline that in the next few months before the next conference, we would have paid all those debts.
We have to leave it there. Unfortunately, we are out of time. But thanks so much for your time this morning. Paul Mashatile, the ANC's Treasurer General, giving us an update on what's going to happen in terms of the African National Congress paying their staff members. And, of course, today, strike action picketing expected by party staff who are demanding their salaries. And as you heard there, the ANC is an NGO. And therefore, I don't know, does that mean that they don't have to pay their staff members, or they're not setting an example as a company because they are registered as an NPO? I don't know. You make up your mind.